All right, everybody, bear with me. I'm going to test fly the 2x4 glider. I got the airplane in one hand and my phone in the other. So let's see how this test glide goes. 3, 2, 1. Oh, man.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we have my quick video on how I took a simple 2-channel glider that was in rough shape and made it look like new. Sometimes all it needs is a little love and new covering, and then this weekend project turns into a long-lasting grab-and-go kind of plane.
So what I started in with is I stripped off all the covering. The tail came right off because it was just literally covering on top of covering. The epoxy was very brittle, probably like 5-minute epoxy, and then yeah, the CA didn't help either. So I started by rebuilding the actual rudder itself. It was broken inside the covering, and when I was like, oh man, you know what, instead of just being a quick weekend project that might not go anywhere, let me start taking pictures and do a video and stuff like that, and do kind of like a weekend rebuilt wonder kind of thing. So after I started covering it, I was like, man, this thing's actually probably going to turn out kind of nice. So I just kind of fiddled with it. And right here, I'm showing you where you take the seams and you roll it towards the inside of the framework on the one side that's already been started. And then you take the tip right here and you fold it over like that. And then come over here and you just kind of work yourself around, start in the middle and then work your way around the edges. And then you overlap your seams from back to front. That way, when you go to cover the next side, it'll all be sealed up. So, kind of makes sense. A lot of people never really covered an airplane before, and if you kind of look and notice how the ARF manufacturing does it, it kind of gives you some pointers, really. So that's why I love watching like Seagull models when they're doing their thing. Right here is where I'm trying to cut the little trim pieces and have a little bit of overlap, and then this is basically the other side of the process. I found my piece of covering scrap that I was using. It fit just right. Trimming the angles, making my little V cuts right here on the trailing edge. And you don't cut right up to the covering. You give a little bit of wrap so you kind of stretch it around a little bit. That kind of helps. So I sped this up because literally this is 30 minutes to cover this one tail surface. I've come to realize in the multiple years of modeling that it doesn't matter how big or how small of an airplane you cover, because it literally takes the same amount of time whether you're doing a little half A size 049 powered airplane or like a legit giant scale 80-inch wing or something like that. Like, I got another video coming out hopefully soon of another airplane project I did for a club buddy of mine who had an older 3D airplane, and it was looking pretty rough. And so I was like, hey man, let me do this not only for my channel but to help you out, because like he really likes the way it flies and it's a good flying plane, and it kind of looked like boo-boo, you know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this part up right here, just let you watch this, and here's where I kind of realized, hey look, this airplane's not all that made out to be. They just use random hardware to hold together, and there's no backing on the control horn, so it could pull right out. You also have the fuselage that had a hatch cut out, but there was no hatch when I got it. So I made this little hatch to go on there, and here's the starting of the cover process. Alrighty, rehabbers. So this is probably the first video that I'm going to shoot of the reconstruction here. This was originally a House of Balsa 2x4 glider, and it came to me in kind of an estate deal. It was in pretty rough shape. The tail was kind of janky, glued on. Really, the only thing holding it on was the original black covering that was over the wood, and I was able to peel it right off because this was epoxied, and then that apparently broke loose, so they just CA'd this to the covering, and as you see in the previous picture, the only thing holding it on was covering to covering, so the tail was rocking back and forth, and I thought that maybe this fuselage was damaged back here, but it really wasn't. Only real damage this airplane had was the tail post right here was cracked. I reinforced it with some CA. I had to strip the whole fin and redo it. I was going to try to halfway do it and then try to, make this pink or something, but it didn't work out. I just stripped the whole thing and redid it because I couldn't get the covering to tighten up like I did the rudder, and I've gotten most of this to tighten up. It still has some wrinkles in some spots that I could not get out. I haven't shrank the wings yet. They're still pretty rough. But I got this airplane as an estate deal from an elderly club gentleman and or a club member, and I don't know if the gentleman had maybe like a grandkid build this or whatnot, but the fuselage kind of has a slight bow to it. I mean, looking onto it, it's somewhat straight in some spots. It's kind of hard to tell. My dogs are fighting. But for what it is and what it's going to be done, yeah, I mean, it had like a little E-Flight motor, some random little high-tech 55 servos. It was missing a hatch. I made this little hatch with a popsicle stick, some 1/8 sheeting, and a old servo arm, and I routed out the bulkhead here to try to get the batteries in and out. There should be a picture of the fuselage, and like I said, it was missing the hatch, so I had to make something. There's the motor mount. So anyhow, I made these because these were just originally the tail was just CA'd to this right here, and it was able to peel right off, and it took the covering with it. So I mean, it was a good bond, but I mean, it was covering on covering, and it was like mounds of CA globbed on there to act like a fillet. And like this was also, it originally was epoxied on with like 5-minute epoxy, and the epoxy rolled off and broke off apparently. So he tried to just super glue it on. But when I got it, it was originally just covering to covering right here, and there was no exposed wood to wood. So when I go to glue it, I'm gonna cut that out just a little bit, cut the covering off a little bit to where you actually have covering. Yeah, I mean, it was a really straightforward thing. Oh yeah, it didn't have a plate to keep the wing from sliding backwards and forward, and I added this piece right here, which is this is a piece of, I redid the pieces. This was all just like 1/16 sheeting on this piece and this piece, but this is all light ply now, 1/8 inch light ply, and then I added this little balsa block on here to. This is actually, I should have used tri-stock, but this is actually basswood, and I wanted it to be nice and strong because the rubber bands kind of put tension on this mount and the forward mount, the way it sets. But my daughter saw the pink covering in my totes that had my covering, and she wanted pink wrapping paper on her Christmas present, and I told her that was not wrapping paper, it was Daddy's airplane stuff. So I had to kind of make her an airplane. She wants her name on it somewhere on here, and then she wants Barbie over here. She's 3. She kind of gets what she wants. But hey, as long as she's into flying airplanes, that's kind of cool. I made these little tri-stock pieces out of balsa wood, out of balsa tri-stock actually, and it was help reinforce the tail, because like I said, it's just kind of a butt glue joint, and when you have, that's part of the reason why this broke, because this tail post was not glued to the fuselage. Yeah, I had like a little Park 250 or 180 or something like that, a little brushless motor. There it is. Yeah, Park 250. I don't know if it's enough to fly it. I tried to have one of those on a little mini stick that I built, and I mean, it was like marginal blown power. We'll see how it does. This thing's a little bit about the same weight. It's got way more wing area, so yeah, it should work fine. But again, this is the House of Balsa 2x4 glider, and you can get the plans on Outer Zone. And I mean, the wing is built like a brick doghouse. It's pretty stout. I think you can drive an 18-wheeler over it, it won't break. Especially when you got like a 1/4-inch dowel for a leading edge and stuff like that. It's pretty serious construction there. And the wing's relatively straight, so that's good. You can crooked fuselage, but straight wings. Yeah, I mean, it's a glider, and my 5-year-old boy and my 3-year-old daughter are gonna start flying this. So he wants to fly it too, because it was originally black and he called it the Bumblebee plane. And now it's not a Bumblebee anymore, it's a girl plane. He said, well, Daddy, I won't hold it against you, but now you have to build me an airplane. So I have a whole garage full of airplanes. We can pick one and make it cool. So anywho, thanks for watching, and hopefully the next thing you see is going to be probably me hooking all this stuff back up and gluing the tail on and everything and making it a done deal. Alright, hello everyone. So I've got basically the airplane configured as to how it would be to fly.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
So have you ever done something and you're like, I shouldn't have did that? Well, I thought maybe I could just do a little simple glide test and land it in my mother-in-law's front yard. But I guess the wind caught it, and we're severely underpowered and severely tail heavy on the glider. So I went up over her house. I circled around right here, almost clipped the power lines, made a secondary orbit. I was trying to land it in between the houses, but then the wind picked up, and yeah. So I kind of had to reconstruct the crime scene because I wasn't filming at this moment. I said, let me put the camera down and do this. But yeah. So, oopsies. Yeah. Don't try to do a test flight in your front yard, even on a simple glider, because it could be bad. It could be all bad. So, yeah. There's that. So I wanted to do a post-weekend update flight, or post-flight weekend update on the 2x4 glider here. So everything worked out pretty good. The only reason why I broke a prop, and there's my dog. is simply because the rubber bands popped off while it was in flight. They actually broke, and then the wing, at about 4 feet off the ground, the wing separated from the airplane, and this turned into a lawn dart. But upgrading to the Park 370 motor was the ticket, and then I had to go back in and add down thrust because under full power it just looped. It would do nothing but consecutive loops unless you had full down single elevator control. But I mean, because it's built like a brick poop hair house, all it did was spear itself into the soft mud, and I cleaned it off. And that was where I skipped the runway trying to shoot a touch and go by accident. And it was on the only prop I had, so that really was a bummer because the thing was flying really good. I have just enough room augered out there in that bulkhead. I need to take some more out, and I need to put some what do you call it? Like some foam padding in there just to kind of keep it from banging into the wood block in there. But it's got just enough room to really shoehorn in a 3-cell battery, which it has to have. It could probably use a little bit of nose weight, and I'm talking about maybe like a ½ ounce of nose weight to truly fly better. But I mean, considering that I even have a nose block extension on there that extends it out about a ½ inch, it could probably go out a little bit further, and then you would not have to worry about the center of gravity being kind of an issue. I mean, just slightly tail heavy, it's not horrible. It's manageable. I mean, at full throttle, it'll do a nice shallow climb out, which is great. Unlike it just, horrendously just looping over itself at full throttle. The tail feathers are very responsive. Even with just a single elevator, it does amazing. So all in all, I would say it's a successful airplane. It glides actually really well. But it does have zero wind penetration when it comes to fully dead stick and the wind starts blowing. It'll sit there and kind of hover, but it's not going to go forward. It'll just kind of like it'll start levitating down. So, it was a great flying little airplane, and I think the project was a success. I don't know what you guys think out there in YouTube land of some of my videos, but don't want to give it away. Where is it? It's not. Nope, not that one. Here. Nope, not. Nope. Oh, what's that? What is all that? I mean, it's a bunch of junk, but interesting. Some vintage stuff that is old and ancient technology from the 1980s. It's not the only one. In fact, the other one is hiding right behind the balsa wood jet, right there. And then I got an HSD jet that I'm probably gonna use for parts. But yeah, so got some stuff in the pipeline. This project is kind of an in-between filler project, like always. I actually got another glider project I just picked up when I picked up the Byron F-16. I also picked up a Jet Hanger Hobbies F-86 and a BVM Viper. So, vintage stuff. So, like always, I do appreciate all the watches and likes. Like and subscribe because it makes me feel better when you do. Got some videos coming out soon, hopefully, and we'll see you at the field. Thank you.